Cosmetics in Star Wars Hunters has been an interesting talking point over the last few weeks. Quite a lot of people have been talking about the cosmetic prices, which is not what I'm going to be discussing in today's video, so I probably will do that in another video in the next few weeks. Instead though, I want to talk about cosmetics in general and how good they've been, because I've seen some people say that they've not seen anything of interest, whereas I personally have seen quite a lot that I really like. So if you personally feel like you're not really seeing that much interesting, please let me know in the comments as to what you would like to see. And I'm also going to touch on some improvements for the cosmetics that I think they could do as well. But before I do get into all of that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so that you don't miss a single piece of Star Wars Hunters news. So in terms of the cosmetics we've had so far, I kind of put cosmetics into like two major categories. One being essentially canon skins, so ones that we've already seen in Star Wars that have come from something like The Mandalorian or Solo or whatever. You know, they're heavily referencing other material we've seen before. Now, there's a lot of skins in the game like that. In fact, probably most of them are like that for certain characters. And then there are other skins which are essentially not canon skins. But obviously, because they're in this game, they are canon. They are essentially canon costumes that these hunters wear because it is a canon game. But they don't directly reference anything in particular, or perhaps they have a subtle reference here and there, but aren't particularly huge. Now, my preferred cosmetic for Star Wars Hunters is the former of these two, so ones that are essentially rips from Star Wars media. For example, Sentinel has quite a few skins like this, like the Patrol Trooper, the Scout Trooper, the Mud Trooper, and the Shore Trooper. J3DI has had a skin on Quinlan Vos. He's also got a skin based on Anakin's ETA-2 Jedi Interceptor, and a skin based on Obi-Wan's Delta 7. And I could genuinely sit here for probably like an hour listing off a bunch of other skins for other people, but you kind of get the point. They're things that directly reference other material from Star Wars, and those are just absolutely awesome. Every time I see a skin like that, I just geek out and just think about how cool it is that the team at Hunters have been able to do it. For some characters, it's, you know, super easy. For Sentinel, it's just, here's a piece of Stormtrooper armor that, you know, you've seen everywhere else before. And it's like, oh, that's really cool. Other things, especially with J3 being a droid Jedi, it's really interesting to see how they've taken something from Star Wars, like a Jedi spaceship, for example, and turned that into a humanoid character. I think that's really fun. They've also done it for a T-47 airspeeder and an X-Wing as well, because obviously both of them were piloted by Luke at some stage, and both of those skins are awesome. There's loads of really cool details and things on them, so skins like that I absolutely love. The other ones that aren't essentially rips and they're all like sort of custom paint jobs, this, that, and the other, I do like those as well. There are definitely some skins in the game that are awesome, but I don't care for them as much. And I think a lot of you guys probably feel the same as I do, in that things taken directly from other media are the better skins than those that are not. And despite so many of these skins being so cool, there definitely is some room for improvement in my opinion. J3DI, for example, is a droid inspired by a Jedi, but he only has access to be able to use a blue lightsaber, which is something that I definitely think could be improved. If you look at Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, you can use so many different saber colors, and the High Republic especially has introduced so many more, or just at least so many of those colors into more mainstream media. So we've seen a lot of yellow, orange, green of course, white, purple, pink. You know, there are so many colors out there that could be used as a lightsaber color, especially for J3DI being a droid Jedi. So my hope for the future of J3 is that we get weapon skins, or at least an option to be able to change his kyber crystals. So they could kind of do it in a couple ways, where like the Jedi Temple Guard skin for J3 has to use a yellow blade, or you could just use the Jedi Temple Guard saber with a blue blade as it is by default at the moment, or you could change it to a white blade or an orange or pink or whatever. Having a custom saber color would be awesome for J3, and I think would go a very long way. Other characters could perhaps have other visual effects elements. Char, for example, when he uses his ultimate, his backpack, like the creature skull has a light inside it which actually then lights up, and there's some VFX that comes out of it there, so that's pretty cool. So I'd like to see that more in other people in some way, but I think it would be very dependent on the cosmetic they're using. But if you have a look at Battlefront 2 with General Grievous's skin, there was one where he had embers coming out of him, so that was just really cool, and I'd like to see that happen in Hunters. They could also have ones where it's different audio as well, so if Sentinel, for example, gets a skin based on a Death Trooper, it would be awesome if instead of hearing Sentinel talk like normal, we actually then just hear Death Trooper jargon basically, and it's all just jumbled up interesting, weird things. And I just think something like that would be amazing. And I think for a lot of fans would go a very long way. And especially if that was something in the store, that would entice people so much, I think, to buy it because it's just so different. And obviously the Death Trooper speech is really cool as well. So being able to hear that in Star Wars Hunters playing as Sentinel, I think would be awesome. We do already have it with Amara Vex, where in the skins she doesn't wear her helmet. You can hear her voice normally. And then when she has her helmet on, it is a more sort of muffled helmet-like sound. So they have played around with slightly different voice lines already. So I really hope they do continue to do that. And then for any blaster hero as well, it'd be really cool to be able to actually change like the blaster bolt color, especially for someone like Zaina, for example. You know, some of her weapons could potentially use blue blaster bolts or green blaster bolts, or just being able to choose the color would be great. I'm a big fan of Aaron being able to use the yellow sort of blaster bolt that Mandalorians typically use, but I wouldn't be opposed to him being able to use red and blue bolts as well, because it just adds that extra layer of customization, which again, I think for some people would go quite a long way. So for me personally, I do think they're doing a really great job with the cosmetics so far. There's lots of amazing content taken from other media, which I'm a big fan of, and I'm very excited to continue to see that happen. But I do think they could definitely do more to make things engaging, whether that is different saber colors, different blaster bolt colors, additional visual effects on things, different speech patterns and audio and so on, like a Death Trooper, for example. Maybe even different voice packs for J3 or something, I don't know. That would be quite interesting to see. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to see in the future for Star Wars Hunters cosmetics. I'll do a video talking about the pricing at some point, because that does seem to be a pretty hot topic at the moment. But that is it from me today. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the Force be with you always.